Guys, I'm on for Podcast Spot and welcome to week 37 of the Premier League review. If you're on this series, what we do is we take a look at the past set Premier League results, we take a look at the Premier League table, and we finish off by looking at the top goal scorers. So here is the past set of Premier League results. These games were played on Friday the 4th, Saturday the 5th, and Sunday the 6th of May 2018. Also next to the games are their timed in this video, so if you want to hear about a specific match, just go to the time next to the game and you will skip out all the other crap. But without further ado, let's get into our first match. We start with Stoke versus Crystal Palace. Stoke went into this game knowing that they could possibly kill two birds with one stone if they won this game. If they won, not only would they get a huge win in their relegation battle, they would also officially relegate the team below them, West Brom. However, if they lost, they would be relegated. And Stoke took a huge step towards safety in the 43rd minute when they took the lead through Xherdan Shaqiri. And what a goal it was. It came from a free kick about 25 yards out. The Swiss stepped up to take it and he bent the ball straight into the top right corner. But Palace would level the game up in the 68th minute when James McCarthy got his 5th goal of the season. Stoke left far too much space at the back and Palace countered with incredible speed. Ruben Loftus-Cheek waited on the edge of the box for the overlapping run of James McCarthy. He slipped it through to him and McCarthy slotted home into the far corner. And Palace dealt a hammer blow to Stoke in the 85th minute when they took the lead through Patrick van Aanholt. Yet again, Palace broke at speed. Ryan Shawcross tried to make a last-ditch tackle, but he only ended up diverting the ball into the path of Van Aanholt, who took a touch and put the ball underneath Jack Butland and into the back of the net. And as the game ended, Stoke being the first team this season to be officially relegated from the Premier League, and I think next season they may struggle. There's no way Jack Butland is staying, same with Xherdan Shaqiri, and maybe a few more important players if they perform at the World Cup. But let's talk about Crystal Palace for a bit. What a job Roy Hodgson has done. Let's not forget where they were at the start of the season. No wins, no goals in the first 7 games of the season. A lot of people, including myself, thought that they were going down, and I took the mick out of them when they appointed Hodgson as well, because I thought, you know, all I really know of him, I know he's done good in the past, but what stays in my mind is his reign at Liverpool and then his reign as the England boss. Those two, he was really bad there, and to be fair to him, he's came to Crystal Palace and he has turned it around so much. He's came in, worked his magic, and he's got Crystal Palace safe, but it's not the same for Stoke. Maybe Stoke changed managers a little bit too late. Paul Lambert couldn't work any magic on the Potters as Stoke became the first team to go down. And we move on to Arsenal versus Burnley. In Arsene Wenger's last home game in charge of Arsenal, everyone wanted to send the longest reigning manager in the club's history off in style, and Jesus Christ they did. Arsenal got the party started in the 15th minute when Pierre Aubameyang got the goal. Lovely passing move as well as Alex Iwobi clipped it into the feet of Alexandre Lacazette. He fired a cross across the face of goal and Aubameyang came sliding in at the far post to turn it home. And Arsenal doubled their lead on the brink of half time when Alexandre Lacazette made it 2-0. Alex Iwobi involved again as he laid it off to Hector Bellerin, who turned on the pace, and the fullback's pullback was met by Lacazette, who put it in first time. And Arsenal got their third 10 minutes in the second half through Said Kolasinac. Jack Wilshere made his way past a Burnley defender. He fed the ball to the overlapping Kolasinac, and the tank absolutely smashed the ball back across goal and into the bottom corner. And also got their fourth 10 minutes later when Alex Iwobi got the goal. Yes, Alex Iwobi. Pierre Aubameyang darted past his marker before playing a pinpoint pull back to Alex Iwobi, and he fired his effort first time into the roof of the net. And Arsenal got their 5th and the 75th minute when Pierre Aubameyang got his 2nd of the match. Hector Bellerin fired across into the box through the legs of a Burnley defender, and it was steered into the corner by Aubameyang as he grabbed his 8th goal of the season already. And that's how the game ended. What a perfect way to sign off for Wenger. Burnley never really showed up in this game. Arsenal had far too much for them and they easily got past them. The Emirates was packed for Arsene Wenger's final home game, and what a way to send him off. And we move on to Watford versus Newcastle. Didn't take long for this one to get going. It was only 2 minutes into the match. Watford took the lead through Roberto Pereira. The Hornets played it into the box. Newcastle do manage to get a challenge in, but the loose ball fell to Abdoulaye Doucouré. He showed great composure to take a touch and play a lovely ball to Pereira, and the Argentine slotted it into the bottom corner. And Watford doubled their lead just before the half-hour mark through Andre Gray. A real easy goal for Watford. A cross came in from the left-hand side from Roberto Pereira. The goalkeeper came for it, but he completely missed it, and it fell right under the head of Gray, who nodded home. And Watford got the perfect chance to get their 3rd in the 38th minute when they were awarded a penalty. It was headed out for a corner. Andre Gray was just looking to shepherd it out of play, and the challenge came in. Gray went down, and initially the ref didn't actually give it. It was the linesman who gave the ref the nod, and the penalty was given. Troy Deeney stepped up to take it, but Martin Dubravka got down well to save it, but the rebound fell straight to Deeney and was going to slot it home, but Dubravka got back up, dived across and kept the rebound out as well, and the game carried on. But Newcastle would get a goal back 10 minutes in the second half. It was a lovely cross from fullback Javier Manquillo. Ayoze Perez came sliding in and the Spaniard prodded home to give Newcastle a lifeline. Although as the game ended, it was a game of two halves. Watford dominated the first, Newcastle dominated the second, but Watford were able to take their chances in the first. Newcastle made far too many mistakes in the first half and were lucky that it wasn't 3-0 going into the half, if not for Dubravka making a lovely double save from the penalty spot. And I find myself saying this a lot recently, but Watford are now mathematically safe. Roberto Pereira was their best player for me, running the show in the midfield, getting a goal and assist for his efforts. Newcastle did create chances in the second half, but they were a bit wasteful in front of goals as Watford picked up the win. And we move on to Leicester versus West Ham. West Ham took the lead in the 33rd minute when João Mario got the goal. Moments before Mark Arnautovic hit the crossbar and he was involved in the build-up to the goal. A ball was stood up towards the back post, Arnautovic brought it down, took it to the byline, cut it back across goal to Mario, who tapped home from 6 yards out. And West Ham doubled their lead in the 63rd minute when Mr. West Ham, Mark Noble, got the goal. It actually started with a free kick for West Ham. Leicester was set up well in defence. They got it a fair distance away, but Mark Noble caught it on the volley from about 25 yards out. Ben Hamer stood no chance of getting it as it flew into the net. And as the game ended, West Ham looked a completely different side of the one that has been shown up recently. They went into this game with only one win in 8, but looked solid at the back, had a certain sense of urgency about them when the horse simply didn't. Although not 100% guaranteed, it's almost a sense of when, not if West Ham will be safe, as they picked up a comfortable 3 points. And we move on to Everton versus Southampton. Southampton took the lead 10 minutes at the second half when Nathan Redmond got his first league goal of the season. It was a lovely attack as well as Cedric Soares bombed down the right hand side and he stood an inch perfect cross towards the far post where Nathan Redmond was. He was in far too much space as he headed it down through the legs of Pickford and into the back of the net. But the final 5 minutes would get a lot harder for Southampton as they were reduced to 10 men when Mai Yoshida got sent off. He was booked for a silly tackle not 5 minutes earlier, and when Everton looked to break, he came in late on Niasse, sent him flying through the air, and John Moss immediately showed him the second yellow and sent him off with no complaints from the Southampton man. And Everton took advantage of it in the 95th minute when they were levelled the game up through Tom Davies. The final whistle should have gone. There was only 4 minutes added on. Ref should have blown the whistle, but he didn't look at his watch for about 3 minutes, and Everton were pretty much gifted a goal as the ball fell to Tom Davies on the edge of the box. He took a tame effort, but it was the deflection that took it away from the keeper and into the back of the net. And as the game ended, I can't help but feel that Southampton were robbed. Like I said, the final whistle should have gone, but for some reason it never came. Southampton will take the draw, I reckon, as they did come out of the relegation zone on goal difference, and they've got a massive game tonight as they take on Swansea. And West Brom fans, you should keep an eye on that game as well, because you need that to end in a draw. If either team win, you're down. Can't help but feel Southampton should have won this as Everton nicked a point with the final kick of the game. And we move on to Brighton versus Manchester United. It was a really dull first half, Man United having more of the possession, but they hardly created any chances, if any. Brighton had the better chances of the first half when David De Gea pulled off 2 good saves to keep Brighton out, but he couldn't do it all match as in the 57th minute Brighton got a massive goal through Pascal Gross. Jose Escuero bolted down the left wing, his initial cross was blocked, but David De Gea couldn't quite catch it as he poured it away only as far as Pascal Gross, who headed over the line. There was a moment where the game carried on with Pascal Gross adamant that it went in, and luckily the goal line decision system went off after a 5-second period. The ref awarded the goal. And as the game ended, Man United were really poor in this match, more so than usual. They barely created anything in this game, and when they did, it was extremely comfortable for Brighton to deal with. The attackers never really had the ball, the midfielders kept on giving it away, but let's not take anything away from Brighton, as with this win, they mathematically secured their place in the Premier League next season. And considering that this is their first ever season in the Premier League, they aren't done that bad. I bet there were parties in Brighton over the weekend as Brighton picked up possibly the biggest and most important win of their season. And we move on to West Brom versus Tottenham. Tottenham had more of everything in this game and they were looking more and more likely to take the lead, but they just couldn't do it, and it looked like it was going to end in a draw, which wouldn't have been enough for West Brom as they needed a win to keep their Premier League hopes alive. And they shocked everyone when they won the game in the 92nd minute when Jake Livermore fired the baggies ahead. Came from corner and it was the definition of a goal mouth scramble. There's about 5 or 6 players trying to clear it or put it in the net depending on what colours they were wearing. And it looked like Jake Livermore and Danny Rose were battling for it near the goal line, and Jake Livermore got the vital touch to send it over the line, and if West Brom escape, this goal will go down in history. And that's how the game ended. I don't know why, but I really want West Brom to get out of this. It will be one of, if not the greatest escape ever. They were dead and buried only 2 weeks ago, but the fact that they aren't the first team to go down is shocking, and the fact that they can still get out of it is as well. Albeit they need a ton of results to go their way, but the Baggies have got hope to hang on to. Tottenham didn't look normal in this game despite having more of the ball and looking the more dangerous, but they didn't really threaten the West Brom goal. Ben Foster made some good saves, especially when the first half to deny Harry Kane, as West Brom picked up a massive 3 points. And we move on to Bournemouth versus Swansea. Bournemouth took the lead in the 35th minute when Ryan Fraser got the goal. It's a free kick right on the edge of the box, and I mean right on the edge. I'm not even sure whether it should be a penalty or not. It was a lovely free kick routine though, as Andrew Sermon stepped up to take it. He instead laid it off to Ryan Fraser, who stroked it into the net. And as the game ended, the saying goes, if you don't buy a ticket, you can't win the raffle, and that accurately describes Swansea's effort in this match. They had a decent chance in the first half when Asmir Begovic made a great double save, but after that they only had one more shot on target in the entire game. Bournemouth played well here, and it really should have been more comfortable than this. Callum Wilson having chances in both halves, and he should have scored them, but Fabianski pulled out some great saves. But Bournemouth won't really mind now, as Bournemouth picked up a win and mathematically secured their place in the Premier League next season. And we move on to Chelsea versus Liverpool. Liverpool win in this game knowing that a win would secure a top 4 finish this season, and I don't think any of the players knew this because it was a really bad game. And I'm not just saying this because we lost. We did a live reaction to this and the Arsenal game. Both were being played at the same time, and compared to Jack, his game seemed open, full of chances, whereas this game was really f***ing poor. But Chelsea did take the lead in the 32nd minute through Olivier Giroud. It came as the ball was switched to the opposite wing to Victor Moses. He put a ball into the middle and meeting it with Giroud, who headed home. And as the game ended, a really poor game with hardly any chances. The top 4 finish is still in Liverpool's hands though. Chelsea are 3 points behind with 2 games left to Liverpool's 1, and they can go level on points with Liverpool midweek when they take on Huddersfield. If Chelsea win both of their games and Liverpool win theirs, it's very unlikely that Chelsea will get there, because Liverpool have a better goal difference, and by better I mean by 20. Unless Huddersfield decide to score a shitload of own goals just for the fun. Liverpool are in a bit of a slump now in the league, not winning in 3 league games, and it looks like their heads are in the Champions League final, but they need to focus on Brighton next Sunday, because if they throw away top 4, lose the Champions League final, then it's Europa League for the Cup. And finally, we've got Man City versus Huddersfield. I'll be honest, right? I was debating whether to talk about this game last, but I have to. There was really nothing for me to talk about. The only thing that happened was after the game when Man City lifted the title. That was it. Man City didn't look good in this game. Huddersfield were on top for most of the first half, having the better chances of the teams. And in the second half, they attacked for the first 20, and then they sat back and defended for their lives. Man City tried and tried, but they couldn't find the back of the net, as Huddersfield picked up a massive point and put a bit of a dampener on Man City's afternoon. Who am I kidding? Look at they couldn't care less. So that's all the game we've got for this time. Before we go, let's take a look at the Premier League table and top goal scorers. Starting off with the Premier League table. Top 5, and as you can see, Man City are on top and finally lifted the title this week, but it was ruined a bit by the draw with Huddersfield. Man United are second after we lost to Brighton. Liverpool are third, but they will be probably knocked down midweek after we lost to Chelsea. Tottenham are fourth after a loss to West Brom, and Chelsea are the only team in the top 5 to win this week as they beat Liverpool. Moving on to the bottom 5, and Stoke out at the bottom and became the first team to be relegated after losing to Crystal Palace. West Brom are off the bottom for the first time in months after a huge win over Tottenham. Swansea dropped into the bottom 3 on goal difference after they lost to Bournemouth. Southampton moved out after a draw with Everton, and Huddersfield make up the bottom 5 after picking up a massive point at Man City. Moving on to top goal scorers, and none of these scored this week, so I'll quickly run through them. Mo Salah didn't score this week, and he's still 1 goal off the record, and he's got 1 more game to do it. He stays on 31 goals. Harry Kane couldn't find the net against West Brom, he's on 27. Sergio Aguero is on 21. Raheem Sterling is on 18, and Jamie Vardy make up the top 5 on 17 goals. Right, so that's what we've got for this time. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you want to, and I'll be back on Friday for the penultimate episode of the Premier League review. Yep, a midweek episode because some teams are still a game behind, so they will be played tonight, tomorrow and Thursday, so I will cover those on Friday. And then we are all set for the final games of the season on Sunday. If you want to follow my personal Twitter, link is in the description. If you want to follow us on Twitter to stay up to date about when we go live, upload a video, you can. The link to that is in the description as well, or it's at portionofsport_. If you missed last episode, that'll be popping on your screen about now, along with a link to the channel so you can subscribe. But anyway, thanks for watching. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you want to. I've been Mark from A Portion of Sport, and I will see you soon.